Oh yeah. So you know that pharmacy is like several our government, Polish government, arranged to legal for it to enter Polish even though we are a member of this is yeah, it is. It was like everyone was ready to go on a riot. Yeah. It turned out like it was our Minister of Justice decided on
college meeting of South Coast School Non-Student Association order. Roll call and order roll proxy. Proxy all around there. Butcher.
Here.
Camp. Here. Clausen. Here. Fernandez. Here. Fink.
Here.
Keel. Here. Lander.
Here.
Lewis. Here. Masters. Here. Moriarty.
Here.
Richard. Here. Shaw. Here. Seekman.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Stanek.
Here.
Stolman.
Here.
Severson.
Here.
Bostad.
Here.
Winter. Jamalvich.
Here.
Whipple.
All right. Did everyone get a chance to read the agenda I sent out? I know it was a little late this time, but just want to make sure everyone got that. Any objections, anything you put on there? All right. All those in favor of approving the agenda say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, that passes. Next is approval of minutes. So I think the last meeting was December 4th. But did everyone get a chance to read over the minutes from December 4th? And did anyone have a chance, or did anyone have any significant improvement or any edits to minutes from December 4th? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving minutes from December 4th say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That passes. All right. Now we're moving on to our open floor guests. So our first guest is Regent Partridge. Regent Partridge, I actually wrote a little introduction. Sorry. Regent Partridge is a dedicated finance professional with a diverse background. He graduated with honors from Hoxton College in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, earning degrees in business administration and Spanish. After starting a sales career and rising through the ranks at a national computer firm, Regent Partridge transitioned to financial advising, working with a large regional accounting firm, and then later opening his own independent practice. Additionally, Regent Partridge has served as a South Dakota State Representative and Senator, being elected as a representative from 2015 to 2017, and then as a senator from 2017 to 2021. He started serving on the South Dakota Board of Regents in 2021 and is currently the Vice President of the Board of Regents. So yeah. You can go up there wherever you're comfortable.
Well, good afternoon, good evening. Yes, my name is Jeff Partridge. I am the Vice President, which is kind of a cool job because you don't have to be president, then you get to sort of run a lot, which is super. I've been asked to talk to you about what you're going to kind of do at Shed Day. I think that's what most of what you guys wanted me to talk about. So I've got about 45 minutes of other stuff, and then we'll get to that. No, okay. Shed Day. Okay, so going to the legislature, talking to legislators. I was one. I'm currently in recovery, so I'm trying to come out of being a politician. Board of Regents is sort of my perfect spot right now for that. I would say when you go to Shed Day and you're going to go talk to people throughout, the building. How many have been there before? Just a few of you. Okay, so you guys are kind of, you know what you're doing. Everyone else, you're rookies. So what you'll look for is all the legislators have a name tag on. Okay, the Senate has one color and the House has a different one. So you'll figure that out right away and be able to figure out which ones are legislators. You can say, I'm here for Shed Day. That will mean nothing to them. They may have seen a memo, they may have seen something, they don't know what that is. Okay, so don't pretend that they're all going to understand, well, I'm here for Shed Day. They're going to be like, are you with the shed lobby? Or are you trying to make me build a shed? What is a shed? They're not going to know what that is. Tell them you're a college student. Tell them you're at School of Mines. Tell them you're really happy to be at School of Mines. Okay? So, one of the things that we have really battled in the state of South Dakota, and one of the things the legislators have heard quite a bit of, is the fact that our technical institutes are an awesome place to be, and the universities are like, nah, I don't know. And all this talk, right, about going to a 2-year college, or one of our tech institutes, and getting a 2-year degree and then getting right into the workforce. And you can bypass going to college. Tell them why you're in college. Tell them why you're at the university. Tell them the reason that you really are happy to be in college. But before you do that, my recommendation is that you thank them for funding universities in South Dakota. Okay? So you go up to them, you tell them you're here because we're a bunch of university kids that are here today. Don't say shit. Say something like that, right? And then you talk to them and you just kind of say, thank you very much for funding, our universities in South Dakota. This is the budget book for the state of South Dakota. It's a $7 billion budget. Okay? There's about $2.5 billion of general funds that go into this budget. General funds are tax dollars. Okay? Your tax dollars that you pay for go into this fund. Thank you for buying stuff here in Rapid City. Thank you for buying stuff in South Dakota, because part of that sales tax goes to the budget to help fund our universities. Okay? The budget then for our regents, which is kind of like the way we say our 6 universities in the state, is about $300 million of general fund money, tax money, that goes to our universities. About $85 million goes right here to the School of Mines. So thank them for that. Say, hey, we appreciate you funding the universities, and specifically School of Mines. Okay, now you know the numbers. About 80 of them don't know the numbers. You do now. Okay, that's how it works. It's okay though. So you thank them for funding it, and then tell them why you're in college. Tell them why you're at the university. Tell them what you plan to do. Tell them that you want to really, do some great things. Now, what is your area of interest that you might want to share with the legislator? It might be different for all of you. Okay? If I were going, I would say something like, hey, we're really interested in economic development and building companies in our state. Do you have any part of that here in the legislature? They give you a blank stare, move on to something else. Okay, because they might. But really get them thinking about, you know what? You might be from out of state. You might be from in-state. You're going to an in-state school. Do you know what we would really like you to do in South Dakota? Stay here. We'd love it if you stayed right here, because we like this area. This is home. You made it home either for a short part of your life, but we'd love it if you stayed here forever, because this is great. South Dakota is a wonderful state with great people and great opportunities. So you can tell them that. Tell them that you're interested in staying in South Dakota, that you're interested in the economic development that's going on, that you're interested in research. You might say something like, I sure hope that you're engaged in what we're doing in the research park here. You might say something like, where are you from? And if they say ag and they're all about ag, you might tie in bioprocessing, which we have here, and SDSU, right? We're kind of tying that together. So there might be something that you can say or do based on your background, based on your area of study and expertise, that might connect with them somehow. And I would try to do that. You might ask where they're from, you might say this is where I'm from. Okay, another statistic. Out-of-state students that come to South Dakota. Who's from out-of-state? Okay? Love you guys, welcome. 1/3 of you stay here in South Dakota long term. I'd love it if it was 100%. But that's the stats that we have. So in South Dakota, one of the things is I want to, we're talking about our legislators, we're talking about them funding education, but if they kind of have a quizzical look on their face, and some of these people do, because they're wondering why we fund education, they can't figure it out yet. Okay, that's fine. Say, I'm really appreciative of having the opportunity to come to this state. I'm not from here, maybe someday I'll stay. And we'd love it if you did. Because 1/3, that's about the statistics, stay in South Dakota, you know, and you know, work here, start a career here, continue with the career, raise a family, enjoy our outdoors, whatever, right? So, that's a great step to know going in. If they kind of are wondering, well, you know, we fund, yeah, but are you staying here? Where are you from? You know, they might engage you in that. That's great, because you're now diving into some of their concerns or some of their quandary about what's going on with funding education in South Dakota. Okay? So, thank them for funding education. Talk to them about why you're there that day. Try to connect with them on something that you have in common. Do it all very quickly in about 30 seconds or less. Because that's about all the time they have. Okay, so when you're talking with legislators, find them and do not be shy about going right up to them. You know, I used to walk through the hall so fast, and one time this student just kind of like walked, just stood right in front of me, and I had to stop. It was great. It was the smartest thing that student ever did. You know, because I got to talk, interact, and visit. You know, I thought I was too busy, and I got visiting with it. It was just wonderful. So we really appreciate you going and making the effort to go to Pierre. You're busy today, you're busy tomorrow, you're busy here. The semester's, you know, off to a good start, and you're going to go there and take time to do that. You know, and so thank you for doing that, showing up and being there if you can make it. And so that's really the crux of what I thought I would share with you guys about going and talking with legislators, having been one. And also the other point that I always talk about is, if you want to talk to the Board of Regents, you know how to find me. Please go ahead. Send me a note if you want to. Ask me a question if you want to. It's not a big deal. One other point related to that. I always get a kick out of politicians, and the mayor's going to talk. Is he next? Good, so I can pick on him. The mayor runs the city council. Has anyone ever been to a city council meeting? You guys, okay? Go to the, what are they, Mondays, 1st and 3rd?
Usually, except for there's a holiday next Monday.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, they're just here in Rapid, and they're kind of fun. Go check them out, even just go for a little while, whatever. The city council is a, you know, governing body, obviously, here for the city of Rapid City that you can go to and experience just, you know, whenever you want, or any Monday night. Well, I used to give my fellow council persons, or whatever, aldermen on the council a hard time about the fact that they would always be like, I've heard from a lot of constituents. I've heard from a lot of my constituents. That's a classic line that a politician says. Reality is, hardly anybody calls. Hardly anybody, you know, people will send emails, and they'll send these blast emails. You get 400 of them, boy, they're easy to delete. Don't do that, ever. You know, I don't like any of that stuff. They kind of think, oh, that was great, we sent 6,000 emails to, you know, Senator Partridge. I deleted every single one of them, and read one. You know, and so really, you know, call them and talk to them. If you're from South Dakota, you have 6 legislators that you can actually address as your own. 3 from your hometown, and 3 from right here in this community. You are in District 35 right now. If your hometown is here as well, then you only have 3, but you get my point, right? You have 3 at home, 2 representatives, 1 senator, 2 representatives, 1 senator. Call them, talk to them. You know, it was great to meet you, it was great to whatever. Here's what's going on, here's what I'm thinking about. Economic development, this is what we're looking to do. Did you know we're doing swine feed transfer, blah, 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 whatever. Tell them. You know, don't do a page and a half, they don't have time for that. But talk to them. And so you can talk to your ones at home, and you can talk to your ones here, and kind of count them, all 6 of them, as yours. So please, talk to us, we're open, we want to talk to you. We want to hear what you're thinking about, your ideas, your thoughts, and where we can really go from here. Okay? Good? You sure? Okay, good. Questions? Thoughts? Anything that you want to just, this is your chance to like dunk the clown. This is drill a regent. Anybody? Any questions? Sir?
So I guess you kind of went over this a little bit, but I think this I've heard many of this before, and it really helped me out when I was learning to talk to legislatures. So when you were a congressman, what made lobbyists and other people going about the Capitol stand out when they were talking to you or communicating with you in general? Just like, kind of like, what really like made you like, oh, you know what, I'll look into that, or something like that.
One non-serious one, and then I'll seriously answer. Will Mortensen, who was the majority leader of the House, who now sits up front because he lost the majority leader. That's how it works. If you don't win, then they tell you where you sit. Will's now sitting up front with Taylor Rayfeld, who was his assistant majority leader, and the two of them are sitting together, which is kind of nice. Will was a freshman legislator. He's kind of a shorter guy, and he would always come up and he'd say, Senator Partridge, I don't know if you've heard the best idea that I'm about to share. And I was just like, oh, good. You know, give me a break. Confident though in that he had a good idea to share with me. So I think there's something to be said for addressing the person as senator or representatives. It's right there on their name tag. Just read it. Don't worry about it. You can just, look at it. Senator Smith, okay, nice to see you. And then I think the lobbyists that did the best were the ones who connected somehow, some way. So if there's somebody that you absolutely want to get in front of and figure that out, you might want to look up where they're from. You might want to look up what committees they're on. You know, anybody from the Scotland, Tabor, kind of north of Yankton area, that region? Anyone know? But Kyle Shanefish is the senator that's actually the head of education, that committee. He's the chair of the committee for education. You know, that's where he's from, Scotland. South Dakota. So it's just interesting. Oh, yeah, you're from, my hometown is not that far away or whatever. You might say something like that. You might look up what committee they're on. You can't do that for everybody, and I don't expect you to. But if there's someone that you kind of that you want to find, that'd be sort of fun, especially if they're from your hometown. So you could go up and say, hey, or I'm from Salem, I'm from Aberdeen, I'm from Redfield, where, you're my hometown legislator, what should I know about what's happening in South Dakota, and more specifically at home? How does it impact our hometown? What a great question for someone who lives in this town that you do, or the area, and you could ask what's going on here that's going to impact our friends and neighbors back home. So you could ask that question. So relating to somehow, connecting somehow, especially if there's someone you want to try to figure out, but just calling it by their name. Everyone loves his or her name. It's so true, and it's so easy. Just say, hey, Senator Smith, it's great to see you. My name is Jeff Partridge. We're here today because we've got a bunch of students here that are from the universities. You've probably seen us around. Yeah. So what are you working on? What's going on in your world that's interesting? Thanks for funding education. Just if you're curious what's happening. If you haven't looked them up, where you're from and what committee you're on. Wherever they're from actually says it right on their name tag too. So as they're talking, you can actually look at that. So anyway, some sort of relatability would be the best way to figure that out. Okay.
Along those lines, when approaching a representative or a senator, is there buzzwords that you find people commonly use that are immediate no-goes and will halt conversation that we should avoid?
There's a group of people right now that are elected that are somewhat, I would say, resistant to education, and higher education. They didn't either get it, or they only got part of it, they didn't graduate or whatever. Who knows what their history is? But they're really resistant to that. I might not say Board of Regents, I stay away from that, type thing. Even when I'm talking to them, I say, well, I'm on the board that actually runs universities. And they're like, oh, what board is that? Board of Regents. I answer it if they ask, but otherwise, a lot of times they don't. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So there's this, I think that would be something I might stay away from. But you could solve a lot of that by thanking them first. Oh, you're welcome. I didn't do anything because they liked it. Yeah, you did. You're here. You're going to vote for a budget. If you've been here before this year, you're not a freshman legislator, in other words, you voted for the budget before. Thank you. thanks for funding education. This is really important in our state. You know, and we wanted to make sure that we had education in K-12 so that we, you know, raise the education level of our people, but then we want to fund higher education as well. And we put a Mines University in the Constitution that said you have to have one of those in South Dakota always. This place will never shut down. It's kind of cool. It's in the Constitution. Other questions? Anything else? Okay. Yes?
This is a little bit off top shed specifically. How do you think the budget is going to be panned out with the proposed cut to the border regions that Governor Noem recommended?
Yeah, so Governor Noem recommended that, you know, really the recommendation is about $10 million less than last year, frankly, and about $20 million less than we actually asked for as a full, you know, university system. I think we'll be okay. You know, we really, we at the Board of Regents looked at the cuts that were required from us. And we just said, we want our very first thing, so you kind of have a process, which is kind of nice, but our very first thing was, what can we cut that doesn't impact students directly? Honestly, that was really research. And so we said, there's just some research here that we can try to find somewhere else or go for some grants or do some other stuff. What is it that we are not going to impact students, you know, by actually just cutting? You know, so I think that was the first thing that we did, and then we went along with that, related to the request from Governor Noem to please cut our budget. I'd say it's going to be, I think we'll be okay on that front. I really do. I'm really sort of happy. I feel like we dodged the bullet a little bit, honestly, related to the whole, like, we could have asked him, she could have asked us to cut a lot more. You know, but then you're really cutting into, you know, students and asking you to pay for more. You know, so that's the hard part. It's like, and I don't want that. I'm really work hard on trying to really keep our tuition either flat or low, keep it really, you know, a very, very high value for our entire system. And so that was what we did. And I think we're going to be okay. I really do. So it'll be a fight. So it always is. And right up to the very end, we'll be, you know, working with the legislators. We spent an awful lot of time as a board contacting legislators, texting them, calling them, you know, touching base with them. Hey, what's going on? What are you hearing? Here's this, here's that. I know a lot of them because I served with a ton of them. It's a very, very awesome representation that you have in me on the board because I know a lot of these people. Likewise, Tony Van Huysen. Tony is now serving in Sioux Falls in District 13. He actually was the student rep on the Board of Regents, and so he's actually elected from that district, and he, you know, he's someone that's a big advocate for the Board of Regents. So we spent an awful lot of time, even on the off season, cultivating relationships to try to make sure that we're in the good, that we're working with them. So I've already talked to the chairs of appropriations before this whole thing started. I've gone through this budget already. That's what I did when I was there. I was on appropriations. Congress calls it Ways and Means, I think. We call it appropriations. It's budgeting. That's all it is. It's money, you know. So we're contacting them. We're really engaged with them so that when it comes time for, when it's go time, it's not like, hi, my name is Jeff Partridge. I'd like some money, please. Not the way to do it, right? So we really spent a lot of time working on that on your behalf and on the system's behalf. So good point. Okay? Cheetah. You were going to ask what the fastest land animal was. All right, guys. Thanks very much.
Almost prepared with introduction for Mayor Solomon. So, Mayor Solomon is a dedicated community leader active from Rapid City. He grew up in Rapid City and graduated from Stevens High School. Then in 1996, he joined the United States Air Force, where he served as senior airman in Colorado Springs. After serving in the Air Force, he moved back to Rapid City and graduated from Black Hills University, earning a degree in social science. Then he spent 12 years as the vice president of operations and strategic services at Black Hills Credit Union before becoming the executive pastor at Fountain Springs Church. In 2016, he also started to serve on Rapid City City Council, where he served 2 terms before being elected mayor in 2023. As mayor, he is dedicated to helping Rapid City become an even better place to raise a family, grow a business, and live the American dream. So, Mayor Sullivan, take it away.
Well, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for letting somebody who attended Black Hill State come and visit with you. Don't hold that against me. Without knowing you, I know a couple of things about you. For starters, I know the quality of students that we have here at the School of Mines. So I already know walking into the room that you are high caliber. I also know because you're taking an interest in the Senate and being involved at this level, and you're all better dressed than I am today. Usually I'm overdressed, and I underdressed here today, so my apologies, but I know that that's very impressive because you're really engaged. I just want to tell you as a mayor of Rapid City, we're so glad that you're here. And I hope that you consider Rapid City a home away from home if it's not your home. And I hope that you'll consider making Rapid City your home. You know, I don't know when you first came to town, if you were from out of town, and you're like, well, this is where I'm going to be. Some of you are excited about it. Some of you are, if you come from a huge city and that's what you're used to, it might be a challenge. If you come from a small town, this might feel like a big city and it may feel like overwhelming. Everybody has a different perspective, but I think Rapid City is right-sized. And it is really a tremendous place to live. And I moved here, I was originally born in Texas, West Texas, and I moved here at age 11. So then I graduated high school here, and as he said, a portion of my bio. It's interesting to hear people say your bio that you didn't exactly write, but kind of did. Like, you must have visited somewhat my LinkedIn page and all that kind of stuff. But you know, I went in the Air Force, and for me, that was just critical, setting me up for life, quite frankly. I learned so much from that. So much that I didn't even realize, I was your age when I was in the service, I didn't realize how much that would come back to help me later on. Just as this experience that you are having right now is going to equip you for what you have in store for you in the future. And one of my jobs as Rapid City Mayor is to make sure that this is a possibility for your future. You know, one of the best things we can do is play to our strengths as individuals, as organizations, as communities. For you as an individual, you play to your strength. Meaning, what can you do better than most people can? And so oftentimes we look at our strengths and weaknesses and we say, okay, I'm strong here, so I really need to focus a lot of my attention on my weaknesses and, you know, to try to get me to be okay. You know, one thing I learned a long time ago is we all have strengths and weaknesses. I think if you take a lot of energy and instead of always trying to be better at your weaknesses, if you spend a lot of that energy, let's say 80% of that energy towards your strengths instead, you would skyrocket that strength. You do have weaknesses and you want to mitigate it so you don't trip over it. But that's also why you need other people, because where you are weak, someone else is strong. And now you're in a team environment and they're going to be strong where you're not. And so sometimes I think that is something as a community I think about all the time. Rapid City is not Miami, Florida. I'm not going to pretend to be. We don't have a bunch of palm trees. We don't have an ocean. We don't have the dolphins. We don't have all of that. But also, what we have here, though, what our strength is we are a Mountain West community. Rapid City is where adventure lives. If you want to start a business, which can be so challenging in other parts of the country, it is possible here. People come here specifically to start businesses because of the business-friendly environment. But it's an adventure. It's tough. You're going to have ups. You're going to have downs. If you love the outdoor life, you love going hunting and camping and fishing and hiking and skiing and rock climbing and all of that kind of stuff, that adventure is found here. And so I always say, well, if the adventure is where we are, then adventure is what we will be. And this will be the place where it's possible. And I'm telling you, that is one thing I want us to do as a community here in Rapid City is I say, okay, there are things we're great at, there are other things we're not so great at, but what can we be better than anyone else? I've become pretty good friends with the mayor of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Great community, it's bigger than us. They have a lot of advantages. They have not only the east-west interstate, but they have a north-south interstate. They have proximity to the Twin Cities, Omaha, Nebraska, Fargo, Des Moines, Iowa. You know, I mean, for us, we're on an island out here. And in fact, Billings, Montana, Cheyenne, Wyoming, and Fort Collins, Colorado are all closer in proximity than Sioux Falls is. So when I'm drawing a circle around Rapid City, I might compete with Sioux Falls for some dollars at the state level, and might have that. But really, I'm looking at the entire region and say, we're actually in a Mountain West region. You know, we are competing in a completely different environment, but we have some, you don't think about too many communities our size that are still like 5 or 6 hours away from the next metropolitan area. Think about the United States, not a lot of those. I think maybe Boise might be one of the closest places, but you don't see that. Usually you're within a couple hours from another metropolitan area. For us, that creates, well, it creates challenges. It used to be we're about 10 years behind the times, so you know what was cool 10 years ago was finally cool here, but with the internet we've caught up to that a little bit. Not saying I'm cool, by the way, but people are. But you know, now the game has changed, obviously, with technology and everything else. Now people are looking at quality of life and where you want to live. And that is a big thing that we focus on here. Rapid City can focus on a quality of life that is unlike anything else. So we become a hub for a region. So not only am I responsible for running a city for the people that live here, I recognize there's a responsibility for being a hub for a region. Not just a region within South Dakota, but we bring people from Montana. Right from Montana here? Yeah. You've come to South Dakota from Montana, probably. And vice versa. Wyoming, North Dakota, Nebraska, Colorado, you know, you draw that circle around us, and now it's a different ballgame, and I think about that a lot. Some of the things that we are going after are really being a regional hub for this area and lean into that. So I talked about quality of life, I talked about a lot of things we want to do. Well, I ran for mayor. A couple of years ago, I kicked off my campaign. I've been mayor about 1.5 years now. Been a tremendous ride. I got to tell you, it is unreal. Nothing like you can possibly imagine. Do you think you can make everybody happy in a city? No, you can't do it. If you haven't figured out, you're not going to make everybody happy. Well, I learned a long time ago, for me, was just to be upfront and honest about who I am and what I want to do. And you may or may not agree with it, but that's okay, because I feel like one of my big jobs is to restore trust. Because trust is at an all-time low, not just with government, but with media or healthcare, a lot of industries. So for me, if I say, here's who I am, what I'm about, you may not like it. You know, I'm a politician, I'm going to say that, but I at least want you to know where I'm coming from so you can figure out what our starting point is when we're having conversations. And so for me, that's really big. And the things I said I wanted to do when I ran for mayor was I wanted Rapid City to have a safer community, a stronger economy, and healthy growth. So those have been 3 big priorities of mine that we're going after. Public safety, I'll talk about that in a second. Economic development and growth is critical to our whole future here. And we are experiencing growth. I want it to be healthy growth, meaning we're going to grow, we are growing. The question is whether the growth happens to us or because of us, whether we just let it happen or we're able to get out in front of it and manage that growth a little bit better. But really, quite frankly, nobody's going to live any place that's not safe to live. And so one of my big priorities has been public safety. And, you know, public safety is pretty interesting. My commitment to the people of Rapid City, and to you, by the way, as students, and I know we have some staff here too, perhaps, is that we will enforce the law in Rapid City. Now, I'm going to tell you what I inherited. We were down 37 police officers just within our police department. We could not recruit. We were losing people all the time. It was affecting our ability to enforce the law. So we had to make some changes to try to work to get fully staffed. And here's the challenge. To become a police officer, it takes about 9 to 12 months before you're finally done. I mean, there's a lot of process that goes through it, a lot of training that has to happen. So you're talking about how do you make strides on that. I'm going to tell you right now, we're only down about a handful of police officers today. Now we have people in the pipeline still working. We're going to have classes graduating, and that'll be great. But that has been tough. And one of the ways we've done that is we had to invest in it. First of all, I found out that we had small towns around South Dakota having their starting pay better than Rapid City was paying for their police officers. Yet it was more challenging to be a police officer here in Rapid City. We needed to adjust that. We also looked at our retention. How do we retain our good police officers? So we looked at things like, and this is important for you because you're going to have to invest in things. And you can't throw money around to everything. So you're going to have to put it in strategic places. But I knew public safety was going to be critical, and there were multiple things that we needed to do. So we put together a recruitment and retention package that really improved paid time off for officers. There was a lot of quality of life things that we could do, tuition assistance, some things like that have really paid dividends. We're also looking at things right now. We're exploring camera systems throughout the city. Believe it or not, we don't have a lot. There are some. I can tell you where they all are. We had one recently up on Skyline Drive, thankfully, to help solve a crime. We had some young folks go up there and just pop gun. And yet, those bullets land somewhere. They unfortunately landed in the parking lot of a bar. And I saw a video of that. But thankfully, those young people parked right in front of a camera that caught them red-handed, so to speak. And thankfully, nobody was hurt. So then we have to say, okay, what is our response? Because that's happening too much. So then we're able to take the staffing and do saturation hotspots in key areas that we're getting a lot of calls for service. And we're starting to see, those kind of effects now. That's today's thing. There will always be something tomorrow. So one thing we're looking at is our camera systems in public spaces, in our parks, our key intersections, places like that, all while respecting the privacy of individuals. Obviously, we're not going to, aim a camera at your front door or anything like that. But it's kind of interesting because it'll have a deterrent effect when people do see a camera versus when they don't. So we're looking at that right now. What does that infrastructure look like? If we don't have fiber that runs everywhere, how does that work for satellites? How does that work for backup? These are things that some of you, probably you're very smart, are already figuring out how that could work. How much does that cost? What do we do with that? But one thing we're going to try to get to is a real-time crime center, where we're actually able to have people within our police department really monitor that to look for those situations so that we can be proactive in that. And I think those kind of things are stuff that we're exploring. We've also done things like we've added park rangers to our parks. We've never had that before. So we actually have people that patrol our parks now to help people when they're in need, but provide a sense of safety. Also, they have fun parts of it that are educational, and they really get to enjoy the wildlife and things like that because we have 1,700 acres of park space in Rapid City. It's one of the things, and one of our strengths is all the green space that we have and all the park space. And you literally can go hiking in city limits. Not a lot of places can you do that. You can in Rapid City, and that's pretty cool. We want to keep that special. So then we talk about public safety, and then we talk about a stronger economy. So one thing we have to do is make sure that we have good quality jobs for people to raise families in, because quite frankly, we have to build a city that's great for the next generation, for your children. Someday you might have children. If you don't, we actually cease to exist as a city. So I really hope people populate their city. That's like a thing. And I know that's kind of funny, but if you don't have a population, you don't really have anything that you're handing things off to. So we want to have people raise their families here. We want them to have good paying jobs, be able to afford housing, and those sorts of things. I'll say this, in the last year, our average weekly wages in Rapid City have gone to over $1,000 a week. That was unheard of not too long ago. So we made great strides. In fact, we're comparable to Sioux Falls, which is fantastic. But of course, we also know that inflation has come and a lot of that gets wiped out. But we want to see more jobs come here that are higher paying jobs. Well, this is where you come in. One of the things we do well, one of our strengths, is we're producing some of the best talent in the nation, and probably the globe. The kind of people that graduate from this university, which I'm so proud of, the talent that we're producing here, I want to provide opportunities here. And I know that that's something that we're seeing more and more. So we do things like work with our partners with Elevate Rapid City. I was fortunate to be on the search committee for your next president, along with a couple of your student members here. And one of the great things about President Tandy was he naturally had that idea too. He's had that background where a university that's integral to the community that it's in, producing talent that can help you. You might go somewhere else. Some of you, that's what you're supposed to do. But some of you, you're supposed to make a difference right here. You're here for a reason. And you have the brain power, the talent, and the possibilities and opportunities to make that happen. So how do we, as a community, leverage this talent in this area? And so you are actually a big part of our economic drivers in this community. I love to see this university succeed. I'm committed to helping the School of Mines feel more and more integrated into the Rapid City community. We constantly talk about that Prior to being mayor, I was part of this thing called East of Fifth, where we were trying to connect downtown to the university. So you may not believe this, but there was no lighting that went from downtown to the university. There is now. I was part of making that happen. We try to do things like, I'd love to see more entertainment options for you, restaurants, pubs, things like that, east of Fifth Street, which basically from downtown out here would be cool to see more life happen. And that's also where you come in. I know you're busy studying, but you got to play sometime. And I think that'll be critical for you. The more we can do things like that and really expand this university's footprint, really make it something special that people want to see would be great. I know we will have succeeded when I go to Walmart and instead of seeing USD stuff, SDSU and Black Hill State swag in Walmart, I see the actual university that's here, which is the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology swag. Why that's not happening, I don't know. That's a failure somewhere. But I'm going to tell you that's what we need. I want to see people in our community attending football games and other sporting events that you have. I was very honored to see the holiday concert that you put on, the Christmas choir. I was invited, I went to attend. I was really moved by how many students were involved in that and how great of a thing that was. And I thought, how cool is this? This is what makes this community special. I have people that work for me in the city of Rapid City that are graduates of this university and are absolutely crushing it. Might be some of you someday. So I'm going to tell you, we're going to continue to focus on economic development. There's a whole lot more to go to that. I mean, I have a limited time. I don't want to go on and on. But I'll end with this, is we want healthy growth as a community. We are looking at strategic growth areas for Rapid City. We're growing in population, which is great. We had a surge, so that kind of increased our house value, home values, and our taxes as a result, because we had the supply and demand didn't quite match up. So we're working to regulate that, and we're getting more and more caught up on that all the time, because quite frankly, since the pandemic, people have been like, South Dakota. And then they come visit South Dakota, and they're like, oh, the Black Hills are awesome. I didn't know this place existed. Well, it's always been awesome. More people are discovering it. And what do you do with that? It brings all sorts of opportunities. It brings new challenges. All of that's the stuff that we need today's leaders and tomorrow's leaders to help address. And so we will continue to work on that on our end. But just so you know, those are some of the priorities that, for me, that I was elected for, the stuff that I work on every single day. And it's a great honor to be elected mayor in a town that took you in as their own. I wasn't born here. So, like I said, I was born in Texas, so I have a y'all that slips out every now and then, but it's a legit y'all. I earn my y'all. I've been fortunate to live other places. I've had great experiences in the military that, quite frankly, you just can't buy. Those experiences have served me well later in life. Then I've had a 20-year business experiences where I've been able to lead several different business ventures, and most prominently was Black Hills Federal Credit Union, where I was an executive there. Then I went into ministry for a handful of years prior to becoming mayor. As my kids were getting older, I just felt a calling into that, which is interesting because then I served on city council while I was doing all that for 6 years, and opportunity came to run for mayor, and that was a tough decision. You're going to have tough decisions. You're going to have decisions when you graduate. You're going to have 20 or more different roads you can go down. Not just where you live, but what job to take, what boss to have, whether you do something on your own. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you want to go work in a large place. Maybe you want to live here. Maybe you want to live far. Then you're going to have relationships that are going to affect those decisions. And that's where you need wisdom. Sometimes you have to say no to good things so you can say yes to the right thing. And I'm going to tell you, it's never going to stop in your life. People like you, because you earned it, are always going to have opportunities. So you need to know 3 things. Know who you are, why you're here, where you're going. Those 3 questions will help serve as a North Star for you as you make decisions in your life. Right now, you're busting your tail. You're studying like crazy. It's January, thankfully it's a new semester, but it's going to get intense, I'm sure, as the semester goes on. But those 3 things are some of the biggest things you can figure out. Who you are, why you're here, and where you're going. When you have clarity on those, as an individual, and someday some of you are going to lead organizations, and you're going to need to answer those same 3 questions for your organizations. maybe we even have somebody in here leading communities or beyond, that you're gonna have to answer those 3 questions for your communities. Because that's who you are, your values, why you're here is your mission, where you're going is your vision. You gotta have those things, those are essential. So I encourage you, spend time thinking about that, ponder that. If you're a person of faith, pray about that. But regardless, those are 3 key questions that I think work individually and corporately as well. And I encourage you to do that. So I get a little preachy at times. Sorry about that, but it is what it is, right? So with that, I'll open up any questions or comments that you have. I'm happy to visit board. Yes, sir.
So you said you're working on safer community with like police officers and stuff. And as somebody who's a volunteer firefighter back in my hometown, I was wondering if the fire department's going to see any of that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for asking that question. So if you talk to my fire department, they're gonna tell you, for me personally, I put a lot of investment in them. We have a station that's not too far from here. It's called Station 1 downtown. That's a $20 million project that I helped drive. And I helped drive that when I was on the city council. There were newspaper articles in the late 90s saying that building was outdated and we didn't do anything about it. And so finally, we were able to get that done. We are also looking at extending a new fire station to the east of town. So Rapid City naturally wants to grow to the east and to the north, by the way. It's really tough for us to grow south. The ground's not great out there. It's cool space, but it's hard to develop. And then southwest is beautiful, but you bump up against the hills and all that, so it's gonna be your higher value. But we are looking at where do we put new fire stations? What's the next fire station that we're going to invest in? We have made sure that we are better staffed at each of our fire stations, which is critical. And for me, I go and have lunch and stuff like that with several stations every now and then. Not always on social media, but I love building relationships with them. Which, by the way, Regent Partridge talked about your lobbying efforts and stuff. You have to build relationships, and here's the key. You have to build relationships ahead of time. You lay track before the train goes on the track. That's relationship building. And then, when something comes up and you need to talk to somebody, because I already had a relationship with Regent Partridge when he was in the legislature, we already had a relationship, it's easy to have that conversation when you have that. And that's true anywhere, by the way, but and that's true with the fire department too. We have an excellent relationship. They factor into the equation too. We've also, out of them, to help with our public safety, created a mobile medic program. So instead of having big fire stations, fire engines that go to every kind of emergency call, because we do a lot of ambulance calls, we're able to do that in a more modular way. And we actually have proactive mobile medic units that are driving around looking for people who have challenges. That's been a huge thing, because those are usually going to be police calls that can be intercepted actually by those who are in our fire department.
In what ways is your administration addressing like the homelessness problem? What plans do you have to sort of continue to address that?
It continues to be really an issue in every larger community. It certainly is in ours as well. So, people are homeless for a variety of situations. First of all, I do think that, as people, we should help people who fall on hard times. You lost a job, can't pay medical bills. People literally have struggles. And the first line of defense, if you can't take care of yourself, is you need to have loved ones who you can reach out to. So if something happened to you and you were not able to have an income, your first thing isn't the government. The first thing should be your loved ones, your relatives, your friends, your family. Okay, that's a missing component today that I think is critical, because most people are going to succeed with a base of support and belonging. And 3, you want to make sure that you have temporary shelters for those who fall into situations. We have more than enough shelters around the city. Cornerstone Rescue Mission isn't just one building. They have multiple places in Rapid City. They do a tremendous job, quite frankly. The qualification to be part of the Cornerstone Rescue Mission is you cannot be intoxicated. So then you talk about, what do you do with intoxicated individuals? Where do they go? Well, we have millions of dollars invested in something which is called the Care Campus, and that's a partnership between the Pennington County and the City of Rapid City. We spend millions each year out of our budget investing in the Care Campus, and it has 4 different levels. It has safe beds if you need a place to sleep tonight. It has detox, you need a detox, that's going to be 24 hours. kind of short-term and long-term residential treatment care if you want it. The challenge is, what do you do with people who don't want that help? And what obligation do we have? And at some point, you have to hold them accountable too. So I think we are a community that has a ton of service. I would put our services up against anybody, no matter what people reject those services sometimes, and for a variety of reasons. But I do take a hard stance on no tent cities in Rapid City. We have broken up a number of encampments. Listen, I might, and I understand this, I might feel really good giving somebody a sleeping bag and a Snickers bar down by the creek. And I say, I really helped that person. But you forget that the next day, and this has happened all too often, that we have a headline that someone died of exposure by falling in the creek overnight. And I would say, was I actually loving that person to death because I enabled them? Or did I meet them where they're at and help them go where they need to go to get to the appropriate services? That is, and that's always been the challenge with us. And there's cultural parts of this, and it's complex because one homeless person's situation is not like another. See, they are not all the same. Within the homeless community, I've seen this on shadowing opportunities I've done, which by the way, you can do ride-alongs with our police and our fire department. That would be welcome. But you'll find out there's some sweetheart people who live on the streets, who are often victims of other people living on the streets that are not. That they're victims and there are victimizers. And so we have to have law enforcement presence out there and those sorts of things. So it's a constant thing. It's a whack-a-mole situation. Once you get one thing figured out, something else pops up. But the sheriff and I got each of both the county commission and the city council to put into record our stated goal of reducing homelessness in Rapid City. I don't want as many people living on the streets. So what can we do? We need to have great job opportunities, affordable places to live, but that's not what's driving our homelessness. We don't actually have a homeless problem here, we have an addiction problem. Drugs and alcohol are wreaking havoc, not just on homelessness, but on families, including people that you know and I know. I have family members who are battling addiction. I know this firsthand. That's actually the problem, that's actually the enemy. So we got to continue to work on prevention efforts, treatment efforts, and accountability to that end as well. So, it's not easy. It's easy academically to say all these and have these points for you, but putting that into practice has been challenging. We meet resistance because some people don't like that approach. My approach is a tough love approach, which is a shift from us over the last couple of years. So because it's a shift, it's a change, there's a reaction to that change, but we're going to continue to work towards a positive direction. Good question.
Professional personal privilege.
Yes, we have, I have a question that kind of comes from some of the students on campus as well. So you kind of addressed this earlier. So like kind of what are you, and I guess from the mayor's office, saying about like crime and safety around like the Mines campus specifically?
Well, I have some concerns with Star Village, which is not far from you. Star Village, it's a high crime spot. It used to be base housing, by the way. And we did a service project up there as a city. I went up there, we cleaned stuff all day long with it. It was the most disgusting thing. But they have $1 million views up on Star Village, which is up the hill over here. The problem is with the high crime area, we have a out-of-state property owner who will not do anything really to help us out in that area. So we're going to apply legal pressure to them. I believe Star Village, if we can figure out a way to help that neighborhood succeed, it will help everything that's happening on campus. In addition, you have safety on the campus itself, and I know you have all those efforts, lighting and those sorts of things. I think having security, which is good, but we have to look at kind of the perimeter of that. And right now, our hotspot is Star Village. It's probably my #1 focus in terms of the high crime area. It just so happens to be near you. I mean, literally, if somebody bought that and developed it, they would make a killing with the views that are up there. But we would not know what to do with all the people who live up there. They need places to live too. So there's a lot to think through on these issues. So right now we are saturating it as we speak, meaning we have a lot of presence up there, which hopefully serves as a deterrent, but you can't do that forever. So we're trying to work with the property management company, not only deal with a lot of issues up there. You ever heard of broken windows theory? It's the idea that if you don't enforce the small things, then the bigger things will come into play. Well, they have code enforcement violations off the wazoo, broken sewer lines. We would love for them to have camera systems that other property management companies utilize. That would really help us. But that is important to you. I'll tell you, recently, like the last couple of weeks, it's getting way better. But my concern is really long term. How do we address that? So the more that we can do in that area that is around the campus, the better it will be for the campus itself. We have kids up there that like fireworks that you can't distinguish sometimes whether it's a gunshot or a firework. So you hear this, like, what is that? And we don't know either until you find it. But every once in a while, you'll have a knucklehead who is shooting off into the sky or something done like that. And by the way, there are great people that live up there too. You're talking about usually, a handful or a circle of people that are causing most of the problems. So that is one of the things I think immediately and really right now in the moment that we can do to help the School of Mines campus. Certainly open up to more ideas and more suggestions, but looking at the neighborhood around you, and I think the more the neighborhood that is run and operated by the school itself will be better. The more students are living in these neighborhoods, I think that would be great. Being a force for good around here, and you building those relationships will be also very good. But we will continue to work to do that. But I'm very well aware Star Village is right there, and it's a challenge right now.
We've asked a lot about what you can do for us, but what can we as students do for, to give back to the community, over here as students?
Well, that's such a great question. I think you have an opportunity to be involved. I think you underestimate the impact you can have. I don't know if it's an age thing or a student thing, but sometimes, for one, I know you're busy. Having friends who've gone to school here and knowing what some of these requirements are here, it's like, ooh, it's intense. But I do know that when you speak up, you have a voice. I got a friend of mine who's quite a bit younger than I am, but he helped me with my campaign. He's a graduate here, been very involved. He was proactive in initiating how to be involved. So I know he was part of a fraternity that came and did a lot in our community. I think that was big. Getting involved, not just with your government agencies, but just if you're passionate about a topic, let's say you're passionate about children, or you're passionate about the homeless, or you're passionate about something, getting involved in that and building those relationships even outside of school might give you a better perspective. When I was in the military and I was stationed in Colorado Springs, it took me a little bit to even get beyond my dorm room and beyond my circle of friends. But once I started building relationships with people literally in the city and not just on my base, I felt like I was living a more normal life in the midst of all the craziness that I had in the military, just as you have in university in a way. I think building those relationships with people even outside the university, I think would be really big. But one of the best things you can do is become the best you right now. When you graduate, you will put that to good use. I hope you put it to use here. So I want to make this a great place for you to live, and I want you to want to stay here. The challenge is, do we have enough jobs for all of you? That would be another thing, but we are all given gifts and talents for a reason, and I think be a force for good, not just in our careers, but in our communities.
So going off what you just said there, building places for people to stay here, jobs-wise, all that, how are ways that the university and the city alike can sort of collaborate to bring more engineering-focused jobs that would want to attract us to stay here?
Yeah, so for our part, we're talking about, do we put our money where our mouth is? So I was part of the group that helped build the incubator space that used to be housed here at School of Mines campus. Now it's known as the B Lab. It's that big shiny building not too far from here, if you don't know where that is. The reason that's important is because I believe there's going to be, and there are already, amazing ideas coming out of this university. I believe there are game-changing ideas. How do you take those ideas and the innovation that's happening here, put that in with business-minded folks, maybe that's you, but maybe it's someone else who's strong where you're not, let's just say, And you could actually come up with a germ of an idea to help make that happen. So you create a space, an incubator where you could be there, have a place to really workshop these ideas and really build something. So we work very closely with our economic development partner, Elevate Rapid City. That is significant. Also working with our university. In fact, your president, one of his first meetings, like as president, was meeting with me, the Rapid City area school districts, Western Dakota Tech, and other leaders. We have a regular meeting just to talk about what's going on in our systems to try to help create those opportunities for you. But we also look at recruiting. Obviously, we want to grow the businesses that are here, which is some of our best things. Like we have Respect, for example. We love seeing them grow. Phase Technologies. These are, or B9 Creations, or Property Melt. Some of these great organizations that are here, well, they're doing well here. What can we do to help them grow and succeed, add more jobs? Because those can scale pretty easily in this day and age, where you can service your customers way beyond here. But also recruiting businesses. Caterpillar would be a really good example. They looked at doing things here. Now they do they want to expand. We do things like an opportunity capture fund where we actually have funding that we can say, if you are going to commit to bringing X amount of jobs for this, here's incentive that we can provide to you. So those sort of things, especially things that really match up to the talent that are being developed here, are things that we go after. Great questions.
All right. Well,
I'm going. You keep me going.
I think we'll put questions out there. Please, please feel free to reach out if you have any more questions, or reach out to me. I can reach out to you if you have any more questions.
And while you're here, Rapid City's your home. Own it. This is your place too. Make this community what you want it to be. It's not just the job of politicians alone. It's the people that make it up that make it special. So thank you all for the opportunity to share with you today.
Yeah, next we're going to have a presentation from the Site Petroleum Engineers. I'll have that right up.
All right, so we're here today to present to you about essentially reestablishing Society of Petroleum Engineers here on campus as a student org. A little overview. We'll give a quick introduction to what SPE is, benefits to students, the majors that are included in the petroleum industry that we'd love to have, and then activities that we plan to do or have done, and yeah. So Society of Petroleum Engineers is a nationwide or worldwide organization that allows both professionals and students to network and exchange ideas and prepare students for the petroleum industry as well as for professionals to exchange knowledge. Go to the next slide. So some of the benefits of being part of Society of Petroleum Engineers here at Mines. When you're signed up with the global organization, you have access to a lot of materials that you might not otherwise have access to that will help you grow as an individual interested in the petroleum industry. So we have regular, or we will have regular meetings. They have had regular meetings in the past. Society of Petroleum Engineers was active on this campus until, not sure when, a couple years ago, maybe a few years ago, but basically COVID had a big impact on our meeting and health as a student org. So, along with, like I said, networking, As a student, you'll get to meet a lot of industry professionals and get tips and advantageous knowledge that you might not get elsewhere. And then also, Chevron sponsors a student membership. As long as you're a student here, you just renew it every year, and they sponsor membership with Society of Petroleum Engineers.
One of the big advantages to this club as well is, although we have a lot of industry that does come to our school for career fair, unfortunately oil and gas, not many companies do show up. Last year we only had 3 companies, 2 of which were midstream companies, so they didn't really actually deal with the drilling or refinery side. And then we did have 1 drilling company that did not offer internships. So being a part of SPE allows us to actually meet individuals who may work for Schlumberger or Halliburton or Calfrac, and may give us those opportunities to get in with the internships that we might not have the opportunity to get in with because they don't show up to career fairs.
All right, so probably should have had this information to start with, but my name's Nathan Pfeiffer, and I'm the acting president right now of SPE here, and I'll let the other officers introduce themselves.
I'm Michael Hollister. I'm the vice president, geological engineer.
I'm Sydney Pittman. I'm the treasurer and a geological engineer.
And I'm Nolan Rogers. I'm the recruitment chair, and I'm a chemical engineer.
I'm a geological engineer. And then, not here with us right now, our secretary, Andrew Elliott, is a chemical engineering major. And then here's a little pie chart quick to show you the members and interested students who have shown up to any little get together we had last semester, some of their majors. Alright, so as far as included majors, I mean, there's a lot that goes into the petroleum industry as far as, from extracting it to refining it. Engineers from fields, geology, mining, civil, chemical, mechanical, electrical, and then scientists, geologists, geophysicists, computer scientists, all play a role in the petroleum industry. So what we plan to do in the future. So meeting once a month. Maybe we don't do much in one meeting, but we might have a speaker, give some industry tips, and simply getting students engaged in oil and gas. So this past semester, a few things we did. We went to one of our regional chapter meetings, which is the Powder River Basin chapter. And they had a speaker talk about some fracking techniques and whatnot. We held a couple monthly meetings and helped students sign up for the national or the global organization. We hosted a professional development event where our regional representative came and spoke at the meeting. So previous things we've done would be field trips. So the Halliburton oil fields, gas plants, the annual technical conference and exhibition, which I believe the next one's in Texas, but yeah, just a few of the things we've done. And then, did you go back one? So that's the Trap Shoot fundraiser we've done in the past. So that's a big fundraiser. It's pretty fun if you get a team together, and that was hosted in coordination with our regional chapter at Powder River Basin. So if we receive self-funding, what we would put that towards would be industry field trips, like was mentioned on the last slide, the technical conference, and assisting the Powder River Basin chapter with their big crawfish boil, which helps raise a lot of funds for troubled individuals in the community, and attend those monthly meetings over in Gillette.
All right, any questions, comments, concerns for SPU? CFO Lockwood?
Everything's great with the self-funding, just to make sure with the third bullet with the fundraising, we can't provide self-funding just directly for a fundraiser, just to let you know, sure.
Okay, yeah, I guess for more so for the vehicles, fueling vehicles to get to things like the monthly meeting, and that would be more so a network opportunity for us. We have volunteered with the fundraiser, but yeah, it would be more so for networking.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Do you guys have a campus advisor already lined up?
Oh yeah, Dr. Yee. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
Any other questions? Yes.
You have this on your presentation. Tell me about like the demographics in terms of class standing.
The what?
Class standing.
Class standing.
So,
Oh,
like,
yeah. So right now, we've got, we're all seniors here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then our secretary, Andrew, is a sophomore. And so,
What about like your interested students? Would they mostly be?
Yeah.
Freshmen mostly, I think.
we do have, yeah, quite a few of those were freshmen. And then off the top of my head, I know of at least 2 grad students, actually 3 grad students. Yeah. So, and then, yeah, I guess that covers the range there.
I don't know if any of you guys from SPE are going to Shed Day in Pierre, but there is a law firm that lobbies for the petroleum industry in Pierre. May Adam, it's a firm in Pierre, and if there is anybody that wants to know who to contact, because they're lobbying, they're walking around, you know, they're whatever. If there is anyone that is going that wants to find the lobbyists from that represents the oil and gas in South Dakota, and usually they're part of API too. So anyway, if there's anyone going that wants to know, contact me and I'll find that person for you that you can get in touch with.
All right, yeah, that would be useful, I think. Yeah, we might send 1 or 2.
Just a quick comment. So I came here from the University of North Dakota with a very strong SPE chapter there, and happy to put you in touch with them or anybody else in the industry in North Dakota. We work pretty closely with a lot of the players in the Bakken, so if I can help in any way, let me know.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, concerns for SPE? What else do we have? We should probably see a resolution for this very soon, right?
Again, it's kind of a reactivation here, so I just need to talk about that.
All right.
We'll have one written, I guess.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. All right. Before. All right. I'm gonna call for
So, we've got dinner tonight. How it works? You enter the meeting room. Real quick, got dinner tonight. You enter the meeting room on the right-hand door. Just sign in that you're eating. Okay, if you're a student, and grab your plate. Get what you want. There's chicken, beef, baked potato, mac and cheese, and garlic bread. And then go all the way around the room and grab a drink. You come out on the left, so it's one big loop. Okay, and go to the right.
Recess, so y'all gotta stay for the rest of the meeting.
Alright. This table want to go first? Thank you.
Yeah.
Lots of yummy food.
Yes. Okay. So then you should. We're treating it the same way, but we're also
Yes, so as far as we can do is work on the meeting, so hopefully we'll make your guys' time. You can commute as much as you want.
What's your last name? You look like somebody I know. Like somebody
and then as far as I guess posters, that is something we're gonna do, posters on the ground, spread those around.
So I don't know what it is now because I know things have changed. So basically, I know about
yeah, I'll get
all your
we have to, we have
I think we can
So what you
I'm the PR fitting I was New York. I moved back to college. Sorry, just wanted to introduce ourselves. We really appreciate everything you're talking about. Well, I suppose you've met him before. You have to go get my email on this campus.
I did.
And then some brand just like yapped in my ear off for 5 minutes about how people like harassing me at the airport.
What the heck?
I know.
I'm the only one in the
I didn't accept at the airport, and he took it out. You shouldn't be in this country. That's what he took it at. Wrong. You had it wrong.
What are you doing here?
At least you weren't my friend. for her that says welcome back from prison? Same with you. She was in prison. That's why.
You would tell them to bring out the shoes from Austin Borstar? The shirt should be wrong. I don't like shoes. Someone you know. Just $3 per hour. I may have just like a thought experiment. It worked like 4 miles after back to my home, not realizing I had different shoes on. Someone else's shoes on.
How did that even happen?
That's a thought experiment. They were the same size. That's the worst thing. Well, it was like 4 miles. I'm surprised you guys
Usually that's like a metaphor.
You were like,
You don't know what it's like walking in my shoes.
yeah, man, I stole them. They don't fit.
That's why I use my RA. Luckily they were even the same size. Because I don't know.
Hey guys, when you're done with your plates and trash, can you just use that one trash in the front of the room? So we only have to empty one trash? Thank you so much.
Were you at a function where you had to take your shoes off? And
No.
yeah, how did you end up
Someone was at, let's say, a party. It was more like a group friends from before. Actually, before I left for the US. And there was a bunch of people there. And it was like 4 a.m. on that one. And I was too bold to get down. It was dark in the corridor. And I can come to the next thing. Like they're almost the same color and the same like size. They look exactly the same. So in the dark, with the road skinny a bit, they look the same and that's the same. So it's like partially true because like I left with 2 friends and we were supposed to take the bus. And the thing with them is that we have like 3 circles. But I was bored at the bus stop and walked to a random bus in front of my, they said, yeah, we still have to wait, the bus is going to come, so I'm like, nah, I'm leaving now. And I'm lucky to some random bus. Those were part of us, like, thankfully new. And it wasn't near my house, I had to walk. So, some dialogue was good that night.
We watched 80 go and it was super good. But I still. I love it. Anderson Brewery. Great game. But this series, you did a shot of alcohol.
Yeah, really, it's like, really, that is crazy.
Because they were so hot, they were stabbing, like Einstein was like,
Yeah.
It's there year round, so you can see it in front of the
no, because
It looks a lot bigger when they zoom in on a
We do definitely have one
When I went back home, they started like I was in the middle of Warsaw, so there was several places like hitting each other, and it's like the entire sky turned.
They stand this all day. Watch them all. I don't get it.
No, they're not.
It's not.
They put his finger down.
Anything in New York, anything going to like Times Square, it's all tourism.
So, like, technically the whole like structure.
It's something we should just make sure like go, that's all great, but then
Like, there was a specific time that you should ask before the whole
and I was like, I couldn't wait to get away from all those like tourist areas.
So she
Let's go do all this shit real quick, we'll do that, and like, when we got the cabs,
close the finger.
more chill, and we were in the cabs.
Could you differentiate?
They were, of course, it's.
Oh my God, is it
But I was like,
But it's basically have the same
Go to Great University.
Once you understand it, you have to you basically reward that's the other like without part of
I like the two. Because like the two, to follow the two, there's only one class to try to navigate the other stuff like that. You gotta take like one class. To navigate. Super easy. Yeah, super Well, it's really very easy. Many stories that were always pretty good. So boring.
Oh, cool.
I haven't seen this other process. So pretty cool. What's in those?
Yeah, this is.
Okay. So how did you get those
One time I come back from a long weekend I have a gold one. Gold player. I don't know. I forgot. And the band director asked me, what did you do over the weekend? They're like, oh yeah, we crawled through a sewage drain. And he was like, oh, I did that. Like 3 a.m. This morning, yeah. That's what you smell like that, man.
Fundraiser?
It's for my.
Did you go to those days?
There is, let's say I'm pretty talented. There's a couple. What's your brief? It's just the house. Why should I vote? Why should I this question, my back has got your back. Do you play golf? Do you play golf? Just scratch my back, I scratch your back. Okay.
Not like my back, man. They're not working.
Well, they're gonna
twice.
They're gonna deport me?
No.
Kill it in front of me. I thought they were too soft. There's a bowling game. I thought they were too salty. I found it in the back of my skull. No, I've been there before too. You have to call them. Just, I had the shock off. I haven't ready to go. Something a bit.
I wish there was something rapid.
I want one from the smart.
Yeah. Or even like rapid to the Super Bowl.
It's like a high-speed rail across the country. We're making
Just abandon LA, let's make it a ghost town and then just build trains.
That's actually a lot less money.
Our friend would love to do your I'm like, when I went to Europe, I'm like, all these trains, all across the country, anywhere in Europe, trains, single train system. It's
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and alright, I'm gonna go ahead and get started back up. So yeah, alright, recess is over. Move on to in our agenda now to unfinished business. We don't have any unfinished business, so we're on to new business, which are our new secretary appointments. And we'll swear you all into.
all right.
So, this is originated by myself, presented by myself, whereas vacancies exist for the office of Freshman Senator and Veteran Senator, and the Student Association Senate Constitution provides for vacancies to be filled by the presidential appointment, with approval by a 2/3 majority of the vote of Senate. And whereas Luke, how do you say you? Sanchez has been found by the President and Vice President to be eligible and worthy to represent the freshman class, and Samuel Hill has been found eligible and worthy to represent veteran students, and therefore be resolved by 2/3 majority vote of the Student Association Senate and signature of the Student Association President that for the spring 2025 term, Luke Sanchez be affirmed the position of Freshman Senator, and Samuel Hill be affirmed the position of Veteran Senator. Any comments, questions, concerns, friendly amendments? Motion to suspend the rules by Senator Fernandez, seconded by Senator Austin. All those in favor of suspending the rules say aye. Aye. All those in favor, same sign. Motion passes. The other motions. Motion to vote by Senator Fernandez, seconded by Senator Keel. This is a roll call vote.
Garcia Larraqui.
Butcher.
Kent.
Aye.
Clausen. Aye. Fernandez.
Aye.
Fink.
Aye.
Keel. Aye. Leonard.
Aye.
Lewis. Aye. Master. Aye. Moriarty.
Aye.
Richard.
Aye.
Shaw.
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Stanek.
Aye.
Stolman. Severson.
Aye.
Rosbach.
Aye.
Jamalevich.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. If you all, first we'll have Luke come up and I'll administer the oath of office. So raise your right hand. Repeat after me. As a member of the Student Association Senate of the South Dakota School of Mines Technology.
As a member of the Student Association Senate of the South Dakota School of Mines Technology.
I state your name.
I, Luke Sanchez.
Hereby do affirm.
Hereby do affirm.
To uphold the office of Freshman Senator.
To uphold the office of Freshman Senator.
To abide by the Student Association Constitution.
To abide by the Student Association Constitution.
And to represent the Student Association to the best of my ability.
And to represent the Student Association to the best of my ability.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. As a member of the Student Association of the South Dakota School of Mines Technology.
As a member of the Student Association of the South Dakota School of Mines Technology.
I state your name.
I, Samuel Hill.
Do hereby affirm.
Do hereby affirm.
To uphold the office of Veteran Senator.
To uphold the office of Veteran Senator.
To abide by the Student Association Constitution.
To abide by the Student Association Constitution.
And to represent the Student Association to the best of my ability.
And to represent the Student Association to the best of my ability.
Moving on to open discussion. Do we have any points for open discussion?
So for those that were around last year, in February, we had our first event, first faculty on fire event, which was basically a spin-off of Hot Ones, if you've seen that YouTube show. So we had two faculty members, one from representing engineering and one from representing sciences, and it ate progressively hotter wings while Maddie asked them questions. Actually, Maddie ate wings too. We kind of had that. So we'd like to continue that and do it again this February. So please be thinking about two faculty, or we can expand it to staff as well, that you might want to have. Last year we did one science, one engineering. It doesn't have to be that. I've heard ideas of like we have some faculty who are married, so maybe husband and wife, or whatever it might be. So be thinking about that. I'll come back in like 2 weeks or so.
I'm just saying, a very good way to get to know our new president. And since you've been on campus so long, and you know, I think it would be really cool to see you and him.
Okay. So if you're thinking of it, maybe in 2 weeks.
Another recommendation would be all of our students have to deal with housing at some point, so we could do Bryce and Katie.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we'll go ahead. I'm going to want a discussion on this. These are all great ideas. Bring them to Maddie. All right, any other points for open discussion? Senator Clausen.
I was wondering if we might be able to get a hold of some sort of, like, I don't know if there's actually like a full-on blueprint or like a preliminary one for the Surbank expansion. I've been having a lot of people asking me, so I think it would be kind of nice to have like an idea of what it's going to look like.
Yeah, you can come, they can come to my office, the plans in my office, and then depending on what we have in the agenda over the next few weeks, I would be happy to just talk about it, as well. Yeah.
Cool. Senator Leonard?
I would like to see some sort of email or form go out to campus about that, because I've been asked so many times, and I don't know what to tell people.
Yeah. And I'll visit with Geraldine about that too. I mean, it happened pretty quickly. Once all the contracts were signed, all of a sudden the crew was here and construction began. And so obviously the initial email went out about this parking lot and things that they were doing here. So I get all visit with her just so that we've got some things. Since it's already started, it's not really going to be an official groundbreaking because obviously the ground has already been broken. Yeah, we'll keep you updated, and then I will also just be visiting with the Surbank committee as we go through the process, and we can report back to send it as well.
Senator Shannon?
So is there any posters or anything like in the service center as it is now, so we can see like maybe on these posters like the expansion of like service center and like the features that are added with the service center, so like students who use it every day can see what's like changing.
I'll visit with Geraldine and Carol on that too. We had some that were displayed for a while in the building when student success, those drives were still there, and we had switched some things around, and so we hadn't updated posters yet. But again, I have additional initial renderings, and then we'll probably get some additional stuff ready before the reunion this summer.
All right. Any other questions regarding that discussion topic? Any other questions?
I have a two-parter. Is the full plan set allowed to be shown?
I'll visit. I mean, they're 100% documents. I think they're out there. I'll double check with Gerald. But like anything that's there, I can speak to you about it.
So because I have a copy of them from work, and if they're allowed to be shown, I would be happy to like.
Let me double check it. But again, I have the plan that I would bring into you and at least educate, and then they can always put them out. So let me double check on that.
If they're allowed to be shown, I'd be happy to show them to Senate and walk them through like what it looks like.
All right, any other questions, concerns for this topic? Seeing none, any other discussion topics? Seeing none? Oh yeah, Senator Leonard.
This would be a good time to bring up the. Alright, so in the dining hall, I went in there today, and they were pre-plating food, and you know, there was no serving yourself or anything, which, especially on the grill station, seemed very wasteful to me. And it also was hard for students to get the food they needed in the time they needed. And I think that's worse than what they were doing before. So either the dining committee can go talk to them, or if it would come better from you guys, what you want, but I don't think it can stay that way. Also, I, last semester, tried to order from the mining shack. I want to say like 10-15 times, and I think I got it 3 or 4 times. Almost always the orders just didn't go answered. So I don't know what's going on down there.
Yep, Coach should watch that, and yes. So now that our dining director is back, I will reach out to the food service committee, and we'll get you started there. I'm glad you brought this up because I how long it would take after I went into the cafeteria on Monday. It's just like, oh, this is different. What I initially got from the food service director today was the partial change at the first line came from some feedback that they got in the survey of what they wanted there from students. So maybe not all students, but like some of the things. So we may just provide additional feedback there. On the app piece, just so that you all know, if you haven't done any of that yet, sometimes you have to log out of that and re-log back in, especially if they do updates over the semester. So if you haven't done that for spring, I encourage you to do that. And you can use that at Einstein's and over here. And if you are running into problems, let us know, for sure.
I've done a couple tests. I would literally go down there and order while I'm sitting there, and I can hear it just going off, and no one does anything about it.
Yep. That's definitely. Yeah. Super early.
All right, any other points of open discussion? Seeing none, moving on to CFO report.
Hello, y'all. I hope y'all had a great winter break. You know, it's a business, so I had 2 supplemental requests, one from ISCE and one from Rollover Robotics. Both of those supplemental requests were determined by Finance Committee to be inadequate and were rejected. Not workshops. So hearings will be on February 1st and February 2nd. I kind of waited on the email just to make sure with my Finance Committee if what was more advantageous just to do it in all one day or to split it into 2 days. So it's decided to have these hearings split on Saturday and Sunday, and the rooms have already been reserved. Schedule will be sent out tomorrow morning. And otherwise, further updates about the process of sub-hearings will be detailed more in the future.
Any questions for CFO Lockwood? Seeing none, move on to the Vice President report.
Good evening. I'll try to keep this brief. First one covers shed preparation, which has been on top of my list for the past week-ish. More or less finalized everything. We'll be gone from noon on Sunday through Monday, so for those of you who are going, plan for that. I'm working on an itinerary booklet that I hope should include some important details about, who we want to talk about, the bills we can cover, relevant people, event schedule, driver profiles. If you're driving for us, I need those forms filled out by tonight. I appreciate your assistance on that. Director Headley sent an email to your professors about your absence, which is an excused absence, so you should be covered there. But it would not hurt to talk to your professors to see how you can make up for lost, time in class. So make sure you stay on track with that. If you're not going to shed, we still want your input on the bills that we're going to be looking at. We represent the entire student body here in here, so you're part of that student body. So we appreciate it if you can, bring feedback to us about that and stay involved in this process, even if you're not going. Secondly, vacancies. Welcome to Luke and Sam. Appreciate you joining us. Unfortunately, we still have 2 vacancies for the senior position, which is pretty unfortunate, but it happens. So I'm looking at you, Senator Warner and Senator Stanek. You know seniors who are responsible and who could fill this role. It's going to be a semester only, so I appreciate your assistance in finding someone who can help. Senator Stanek does not know any responsible individuals. But yeah, jokes aside though, I appreciate your help on that. Finally, I just want to kind of give an overview of important dates coming up this semester. President VP nominations open out January 29th. Class Senator nominations open out to March 19th. So be on the lookout for those if you want to run again. So President VP would be January 29th.
So they open?
Nominations open, and then Class Senator would be March 9th. And that should be on the Senate calendar.
Yeah.
Finally, good luck on academics this semester. Have fun, enjoy it. But stay plugged into this institution because you're here for a reason. So thank you. End report.
All right. Any questions, comments, concerns? Yes. Senator Keel.
When is shed, for those of us who aren't part of that group that's going, when is that?
That's going to be the 26th evening, so we're leaving noon of the 26th, and we'll be out through the evening of the 27th.
So that's 2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
So we'll have a meeting next week, so?
Correct.
Are we doing, I remember in the past we had a meeting where we talked about bills related to education, and then we voted on our stance. We're doing that next week?
Yeah, I'll go over that. Sorry.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, moving on to my report. And again, this is kind of long, but I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. So first I want to cover is today, my free time in the afternoon, I wrote a student opinion survey. So and that goes on with something else I'm going to attach to, or I guess that is going to be attached to. Basically, I created a survey that said, what do you think top 3 strengths are at the School of Mines? What do you think the top 3 weaknesses are at the School of Mines? And for the strengths, how can we work to keep those, kind of support those strengths? And weaknesses, how can we work on improving those weaknesses? And so, and then I have a section for both of them, or yeah, that's like the writing section for both, like the kind of explaining section for both of them, but that will be attached to an email that I'll be sending out to the whole student body, which will also include the previous minutes we had and this week's agenda, and it's something I want to start doing weekly. Is sending out restarting something that Cody Marshall did back in his administration as president. Sending out an email to the whole student body every week with minutes and an agenda, so we keep students today on what we're doing in the Senate. So I think I just let everyone know that that's going to be happening. And then after that, I want to work with Student Affairs Committee, and to just kind of compile those responses and to kind of get almost like a report going for kind of like what the issues students are seeing on campus. So that's going to be a big thing there. And yeah, make sure that your constituents know that the survey is going out, and just try to get as many people as you know to fill it out. So that's what I asked. Next, for committee chairs, just real quickly, if you have an agenda item, please send it to me by Monday at 2:45. This is very important, so I can get the agenda out at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, so everyone knows where to be, what to do. I really appreciate that. And I guess that does just go for committee chairs, I guess for everyone who might submit agenda items. And the only exception that I really see reasonable that I could make for this is if we really need to get supplemental in to the meeting. So that's the only exception that I could reasonably see making that. Otherwise, that's a pretty hard deadline for agenda items. And then going into that, next week, 22nd, is going to be a meeting where we're going to vote on our stance on legislation. So if you're new here, every year GR committee puts together a list of bills that basically we would want to lobby for at SHED, and we vote to take a stance on it either for or against, and usually the GR committee members will present a summary on each bill, and to go over that. So that will be next week. This meeting does usually take longer, probably about as long as this meeting tonight. Yeah, so like that's kind of like the big thing about that. We're going to be voting on our stances for that, for the bills when we get SHED, and we'll be presenting them to the Student Federation. Then another thing I want to introduce is class senator reports. So basically the idea behind this is I'm going to select a random senator for each class each week, and I want that senator to lead an effort amongst your class of senators to reach out to your constituents and gather like what's going on, like issues you're hearing about, things going on in your classes. If you're an underclassman, what's going on in the dorms. If you're an upperclassman, what's going on with the graduation, or FE exam, whatever. Like something you can report on during Senate. And I want to start this week with it. I'm going to add it as a section right after my report. So just be aware, I'm going to be starting this up next week, and I want to hear reports from class senators. So so like and I'll send out a more comprehensive list of ideas that I would consider, or I would like to see from kind of these reports, just so we can get talking to everyone. Yes?
Quick clarification, is that going to be its own separate agenda item?
Yes, it is going to be its own separate agenda item. Yes. And finally, this semester, I'll get to questions in a second. This semester we're going to have department heads start to come in weekly to visit with us. We're going to try to start on January 29th with Dr. Jim Stone, who is the department head for the Civil Environmental Engineering Department. And basically what we want to do with this one is we want, if you're part of the Civil Environmental Engineering Department, for example, for this next one, We want you to talk to your classmates, you know, and, you know, apply your own questions to then ask to Dr. Stone about like what's going on in the department. He will also present on kind of what's going on in his department from his views, like research, organizations, classes, etc. And also, if you're not in the civil environmental, for this example, if you're not in the civil environmental department, but you know people in the civil environmental department, please go out and ask them what questions they have for their department head, so we can get that in and have them ask questions. And this will be a weekly occurrence. We'll usually try to have 2 department heads come in per week, and they'll usually have at least some. I try to pair them up as best I could to have some some similarity, like they're usually in the same building. So in that fits in nicely to like their subjects are usually the same thing. Their students interact with each other a lot. So but yeah, so like that will be hopefully starting up right after SHED on January 29th. So yeah, and the only exception to that rule is that Dr. LaRochelle, head of the mechanical engineering department, teaches a class from 5 to 8 on Wednesday, so we won't be able to have him come in to a Senate meeting, but we'd still like to gather questions so we can either have him record a video or a group of mechanical engineers from the Senate can go in and just kind of meet with him. So yeah, other than that, your report. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none. All right, moving on to our international report.
I'm yet to get the official numbers, but we have about 22 new international students coming in this semester from different countries: India, Ghana, Germany, Nigeria, etc. It's just good to see a good number coming in. And the second part is we have the Cultural Expo coming up sometime this semester, and they're coming out to work in the report.
Perfect. Any questions, comments, concerns for Senator Fernandez? I believe I met one of the international students today. I believe I met one of the international students. Seeing none, moving on to our veteran reports.
The Veterans Club is going to be doing the Nemo Outhouse races this fall. We're going to be fundraising for the Shiners. Once we have our first meet, I'll learn a little bit more about that. But I think that's a big agenda item this semester. So let's go with those comments.
Yeah. I have a question for you, actually. Sure. When does registration close?
I'll find that out during the week.
All right.
I'll bring a report back on that.
Yeah. So, in provide context for this question, 2 years ago, our president, Cody Marshall, at the time, he was a member of Veterans Club, and he actually had a team go out to Nemo, representing Senate for the outhouse race, and I kind of want to do that again this year. So, yeah. Any other questions, comments, concerns for Senator Hill? Seeing none, moving on to our graduate reports.
The Graduate Student Society held a vote at the end of last semester to figure out how they wanted to spend their additional funds. This year, the clear winner was spending funds on student memberships for Turnitin, and however they've been unable to get Turnitin to actually reply to them to be able to pay with these funds, and so they moved on to paying for publication subscriptions that the Devereux Library does not use. So the Graduate Student Society will therefore be providing publication subscriptions to their members, which I think is a fantastic use of spare funds. Other than that, the spring semester is a popular time for graduate students to defend their theses, so keep the graduate students in your life in mind as they stress and struggle over submitting theses and worry about defending them and reporting.
Question?
Yes.
Do you know if former President Kessler defends his thesis?
To be honest, I do not know. I should plan on reaching out to him. That's a good point.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Any other questions, comments, concerns for Senator Lewis? Seeing none, moving on to our non-traditional report.
Yeah, so now that we're back, I'm going to follow up with financial aid on the dynamic scholarship list and see if there's any updates. Yeah, end of report.
All right. Any comments, questions, concerns for Senator Kentz? Seeing none, we'll move on to our committee report, starting with Constitution.
Thanks for listening to the petroleum students. We're planning on also having the Bangladeshi students present, but we were asked to hold off on that since we're busy enough over these next couple meetings. So when that when things kind of lighten up, then we'll have them come. And we'll make sure that we'll get a resolution drawn up for the patrolling students and everyone.
Perfect. Yes, Vice President. Do you have a meeting time for the committee yet?
Abby sent out a when is good today.
Right, perfect.
That I haven't filled out.
Any other comments, questions, concerns for the Constitution Committee? Seeing none, moving on to the Public Relations Committee.
Happy January, folks. The PR meeting for the semester is going to be Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Our main event, hitting the ground running. We have the org fair tomorrow from 11 to 1. If you had said you could help, I sent you a message. If you would like to help still, I'm sure we could find a use for you somewhere. So let me know. And lastly, we have some remaining Hard Rocker discount flyers that we have yet to get off the ground. If you see some, or any other Senate flyers for that matter, please feel free to pick them up if they are grody and deteriorated. We don't want them roaming around campus and being litter. So I appreciate your help in that and your work.
Any comments, questions, concerns for Senator Seaman? Seeing none, moving on to our student affairs or government relations meeting. Sorry.
I'd like to thank you all for dressing up and staying really late at this meeting. I'm very happy that we could have Regent Partridge and the mayor come talk to us. Little update on our fundraising goal. We raised $3,500 last semester, so thank you to everybody who went to those monument events. They made a big difference. We've got 2 Pancheros events scheduled in February, and then there should have been a sign-up sheet with the current open dates for the monument in February. Does anyone know where that went? Okay, if we could finish passing that around while I'm talking, please. Legislature just started their session, so we don't have too many bills. So GR is going to spend the weekend finishing up, looking at those, writing up summaries, and getting in all of our things before Monday, so we can vote on them on Wednesday. End of report.
All right. Any comments, questions, concerns? Or yes, Senator T.
Along those lines, I personally will be helping Senator Leonard with this in my role as Vice President of Student Federation. The bill tracker that we will be making for mines will also be shared with Student Federation, that we're all going to have access to and use as a tool. I felt that was a good way to help out Student Federation, to put in our mark and really be united on this front as Student Federation as well as a mines body. So just a FYI.
All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns for Senator Leonard? Seeing none, we'll move on to our student affairs report.
Hey guys, so students are faring pretty good so far. So I have a little quick update on the survey. You guys might remember last semester we reached out to students asking about how you can include the wellness center, and we will now have that open on Sunday from 12 to 5. And this mostly thanks to the work of Patrick Winter and the other members there. So thank you guys. And I'm working on getting a good time for us to meet, so if you guys can talk to me afterwards, I appreciate it. Thanks.
We're not open this Sunday because we're getting new equipment.
Correct.
That's true. That's true.
All right. Any other comments, questions, concerns for Senator Fossil? Seeing none, move on to our upcoming tenant business. Big thing is shed. That's on, it's on 26th. We leave at, I think we actually do it. All right, 11:30 on the 26th, and we'll get back around 9 o'clock in the evening on the 27th, because we are attending the reception with the school minds and here with legislatures. So, yeah, and then next meeting obviously is voting on bills. So those are 2 big points of upcoming business. I'm going to add to that. So we had one senator cancel who's unable to come to shed. So if you somehow happen to have a
availability from the marketing, and we might be able to.
Other than that, any comments, questions, concerns regarding those two items? No? Alright, moving on to announcements, yes.
Promise to be brief, but reminder, tomorrow is the deadline for leadership awards, and we have some awards that we need some more nominations. So if you're sophomores, there's room for more nominations for the Cushman Clark Scholarship. So groups, Florida Regents Awards, Leadership Hall of Fame, all of those. So I've given the deadline of 4 o'clock. Technically, the form is open until 10 o'clock p.m. So please nominate board members, nominate people just so that the selection committee has a good group of nominees for each of the boards to select from.
Yeah, just real quick, guys. Getting back in the Senate, we have a couple busy meetings coming up. Just want to remind you guys, please wait to be called on. It's incredibly hard for me, especially with these really long meetings, to get everything down correctly. Just a reminder, these minutes are a legally binding document. I need to make sure they're accurate. So please wait for either President Archer when he is presiding over, or if he is up front, wait for Vice President Lee to call on you. I'm begging you guys, please. It is honestly headache inducing, especially when we are going over bills to try and keep track of everything. So just for future reference, please try and make my job a little bit easier. I don't want to spend 3 hours editing minutes like I have the last couple of years when we did this meeting the last time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's very good to know. Any comments, questions, concerns? Yes, send to us.
Can we give a shout out to the Dean of Students Office for providing their instructions?
Alright. Any other comments, questions, or any other announcements? Sorry. He does not know. Oh, he doesn't know yet. Okay. I'll initiate him. Alright, any motions? Motion to adjourn. You're all set. Repeat. Second. All those in favor of adjournment say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.